Hello there again, everybody. It is I, Tony, aka the mighty TTBurger 88, and welcome back once again to TTBurger Game Reviews. Today, I want to talk about one of my favorite video game genres of all time, fighting games. Fighting games need no introduction. They mainly saw their popularity starting in the 90s with Mortal Kombat, Street Fighter, Virtua Fighter, Battle Toshinden, Bloody Roar, and more. Today, I will be looking at a fighting game series that got me interested in the genre and made me a permanent fan. And that series is the Tekken series. For this episode, it will be divided into 7 parts. Yes, 7 parts, people. This will be my longest episode yet. Like, holy cow, 7 parts. Part 1 will cover Tekken. Part 2 will cover Tekken 2. Part 3 will cover Tekken 3. Part 4 will cover Tekken Tag Tournament. Part 5 will cover Tekken 4. Part 6 will cover Death by Degrees, starring Nina Williams. And Part 7 will cover Tekken 5. Now we have a lot to talk about here, so let's get started with Tekken on the PlayStation and arcade by Namco. Now, I will admit that this was not the first Tekken game I ever played, due to the fact that I played games like this mainly at the roller hockey arena my brother played at. But getting that out of the way, let's start things off with talking about the story. The story of Tekken pretty much goes like this. The King of Iron Fist tournament, led by Heihachi Mishima and the Mishima Zaibatsu, is coming to an end, and only 8 fighters remain, and the winner of the tournament will receive the title of the King of Iron Fist and a prize money of $1 billion. Now, while there may not be much story here, it's understandable because this is a fighting game. Most fighting games back in the day didn't have much story to them, but the story definitely does a good job of getting the point across. Graphically, Tekken looks decent for a game that came out in the mid-90s. The character models for the most part do look good, but there are times where they can look really blocky. The cutscenes don't look the greatest since the character models look really shiny and really stand out in them. The best part about the graphics, however, is the backgrounds. The backgrounds are very crisp and detailed with excellent lighting effects making it very easy to see things. What's really interesting about the backgrounds is that they are based on real-life locations such as Kanto, Japan, Angkor Wat, Cambodia, Monument Valley, USA, Acropolis, Greece, Fiji, Philippines, Venezia, Italy, and more. The sound in Tekken is also pretty good. The best part of the sound is the music. You have 2 soundtracks to choose from. You have the original arcade soundtrack from the arcade version, have the remix soundtrack, which obviously consists of remixes of each track. For me, I prefer the original soundtrack because I am not a fan of remixes, and a lot of the remixes here sound really bad. But that's just me though. Now while the music is awesome, the voices for the characters are not so great. The main problem is most of the characters sound exactly the same. Now I know this sounds nitpicky, but it's kind of annoying hearing the same voices during gameplay over and over. But the gameplay in Tekken, while it is good, I do have a few complaints with it. The controls are simple. The triangle and square buttons let you punch, while the circle and X buttons let you kick. The select button lets you change your camera during the fight for a limited time, and like in most fighting games, you can do throws, combos, and special moves. And while the controls are simple, I do have a few complaints with them. And that is when you're doing different moves and stuff like that, there are times where the controls will not work or will be very delayed. There are also times where it can be very frustrating when you have to press up on the directional pad to do certain moves, because when you press up, you jump. Now, another problem with the gameplay is that the opponent AI can be very cheap, and they will keep using the same attacks over and over at times and won't give you a chance to attack at all. You have 8 characters to choose from, including 10 unlockable characters that are exclusive to the PlayStation version. You have Paul Phoenix, a hand-to-hand fighter from the United States who enjoys training and knows martial arts. Paul also has a rival with the son of Heihachi Mishima named Kazuya, who he previously fought to a draw. Paul takes part in the tournament to look for stronger opponents. You have Martial Law, who owns a Chinese restaurant in San Francisco called Martial China, has dreams of opening his own martial arts school. Law enters the tournament to win the prize money, to open the school he dreams about, and to become world famous. You have Jack, a super slaughtering military machine from Russia, who was developed by the Soviet Union. Jack is sent to the tournament by the Russian military to defeat the son of Heihachi Mishima, named Kazuya. You have Nina Williams, a silent assassin from Ireland, who learned assassination techniques from her Irish father Richard and learned the Japanese martial art technique called Aikido from her British mother. Nina is sent to the tournament to assassinate Heihachi Mishima, but her true intentions are unknown. You have King, a Mexican wrestler who outside of wrestling takes care of orphans the same way he was taken care of when he was an orphan. King enters the tournament to win the prize money to help fund the orphanage he is taken care of. You have Yoshimitsu, a ninja from space who is the leader of the Manji party who steals from the rich and gives to the poor and innocent around the world. Yoshimitsu enters the tournament as a distraction to steal the tournament funds unobserved. You have Michelle Chang, who was born to a Native American mother and a Chinese father. Her father was sent by Heihachi Mishima to find an ancient treasure on a Native American land. On her 18th birthday, however, Michelle learned that her father was killed by Heihachi's men and enters the tournament to take revenge on Heihachi. You have Kazuya Mishima, the main protagonist of Tekken, who is the son of Heihachi Mishima. When Kazuya was 5 years old, his father dropped him into a volcano after finding out his mother died by the hands of his father. Kazuya survived the fall and it gave him a huge scar on his chest and nearly killing him. Kazuya made a deal with the devil in order to survive and to murder his father and enters the tournament keeping his word. You also have the 10 unlockable characters that are exclusive to the PlayStation version that can be unlocked by beating arcade mode with certain characters. You have Kuma, who is Heihachi's pet bear and bodyguard, who trained him in the arts of Kuma Shinken. Kuma also has a rival with Paul Phoenix and can be unlocked by beating arcade mode with Paul. You have Wang Jinrei, a Chinese man who was good friends with Heihachi's father, Jinpachi Mishima. After Jinpachi died, Wang put his faith in Heihachi, but Wang doesn't know of Heihachi's actions. Wang can be unlocked by beating arcade mode with Law. You have Prototype Jack, who is a prototype of the original Jack that was made in Russia. Prototype Jack is sent to the tournament by Heihachi to defeat the original Jack, and he can be unlocked by beating arcade mode with Jack. You have Anna Williams, the younger sister of Nina Williams, whom she hates with a passion. Anna also learned Aikido from her mother and became a national Aikido champion. Their father Richard neglected Anna for years and never taught her how to be an assassin like how he taught Nina, and has since held a grudge against them both. Anna enters the tournament to settle a score with Nina, and of course she can be unlocked by beating arcade mode with Nina. You have Armor King, who is King's rival and friend. Armor King is also a pro wrestler, just like King. During a sparring match, King accidentally smashed one of Armor King's eyes, and while King continued down the road of a pro wrestler, Armor King continued down the road as a handicapped wrestler due to his eye injury. Armor King can obviously be unlocked by beating arcade mode with King. You have Ganru, a gifted Rikishi, who was the youngest sumo wrestler to be promoted of the rank of Uzeki, who is a champion. However, he failed to uphold the dignity of the sumo world due to his unacceptable conduct outside the ring. Because of this, he was not promoted to Yokozuna, which is a sumo grand champion. Afterwards, he separated himself from the sumo world, and he can be unlocked by beating arcade mode with Yoshimitsu. You have Kunimitsu, who was a member of the Manji party until she was kicked off by Yoshimitsu for stealing for her own arrogance. Afterwards, she continued to steal, and enters the tournament to steal the treasure Heihachi Mishima stole from the Native Americans. Kunimitsu can be unlocked by beating arcade mode with Michelle. You have Li Chalan, who was adopted son of Heihachi Mishima, who took him in after his parents died when he was a young child, causing him to be homeless. He then became rivals with Kazuya and was included in the same training as him so he can become the head of the Mishima family, and he can obviously be unlocked by beating arcade mode with Kazuya. You have Heihachi Mishima, the head of the Mishima Zaibatsu and the creator of the King of Iron Fist tournament. He created the tournament to gather the strongest soldiers of his own personal use. Heihachi can be unlocked by beating arcade mode without dying. However, you must play on normal mode. Finally, we have Devil Kazuya, who is basically a third costume for Kazuya. You can unlock Devil Kazuya by beating 8 stages in the Galaga minigame at the beginning when you start up the game. Unfortunately, I have not been able to unlock him because the Galaga minigame is very hard. Now, while it is cool to have these extra characters, the problem is they play just like the original 8 characters, like Anna and Nina play alike, Yoshimitsu and Kunimitsu play alike, Jack, Prototype Jack and Kuma play alike, Law and Lee play alike, and so on and so on. I know it sounds nitpicky, but it would have been nice if the unlockable characters had their own moves and such. Another problem with the game is that there isn't much replay value to it. Once you unlock all the characters, there really isn't much to do. There aren't any extra modes besides 2-player mode, but a lot of fighting games did the same thing like this back in the day, so I can definitely overlook this. So besides that though, there isn't much else to say about Tekken. It's a decent fighting game that has some problems that prevent it from being perfect, but if you can overlook the problems, you will definitely have a lot of fun here. Now for my final rating. Tekken is a decent fighting game that any fighting game should definitely check out if you can find a copy of it. I give Tekken a 7 out of 10. Stay tuned for part 2, where I will cover the very first Tekken game I ever played, which is Tekken 2. This is Tony, aka TTBurger88. Peace out, and see you all in part 2.